Okay, Marcus Scott. All the microphones on Marcus's album were Shure microphones. First and foremost, Marcus's vocal, a Shure SM7B. Marcus has already been a fan of that microphone for years. Used on a lot of pop, R&B, rock records, that kind of thing. It sounds great. It's a dynamic mic, so when you're dealing with a singer as powerful as Marcus is, it can really take the heat, and it still sounds great. On the drums, Nick's playing the DW Almond kit, which sounds glorious. It was great going to the factory and watching them build that kit. The tone on that kit is great. It's super loud and punchy, so it can do everything from an R&B record like this to I think we cut a hard rock record the following week with that same kit, those same toms. So a really great sounding drum kit. So on that kick drum, 22-inch kick, we used a classic Shure Beta 52 microphone. On the snare top and bottom were Shure SM57s. Of course, you would flip the phase on the bottom snare. On the hi-hat and overheads, we used a Shure KSM 141 small diaphragm condenser. Very natural sounding condenser mics, which is great. They take compression and EQ really well. And then on the toms, another industry standard, the Shure Beta 98 small diaphragm condensers. They do come with the tom rack mounts for live and that kind of thing. We didn't use those in the studio. We used traditional mic stands, but they're great. They're small, they sound great, and they stay out of the way. On the bass, we recorded the DI off Dave's bass. I think for most of the record, he was playing flat wound Fender P bass. So we had the DI. Then we had an Ampeg B15 flip top with a Shure KSM 44 large diaphragm condenser about 6 inches in front of the speaker. For Don's electric guitar, classic Shure SM57, Tom Hemby was playing through his Kemper, which has several different models that he's done with different microphones and different amps over the years. Don predominantly played through his Fender Princeton or the Studio 65 Fender Deluxe reissue throughout the entire album. Grand piano. We had a pair of Shure KSM 44 in the cabinet, and then since everybody was live in a room together, we taped a packing blanket over the top just to minimize some of the bleed from the rest of the room. On the Hammond B3, we had a pair of Beta 181 small diaphragm condensers. On the bottom, we had a Shure Beta 58 dynamic microphone. All the other keyboards we used, we just ran direct into DI boxes and then into the neat preamps. For percussion, Wally brought, I think, everything in his house. We had a whole room of percussion and toys and tambos and congas and all kinds of stuff. Microphones on the percussion were similar to the drums, a stereo pair of KSM 141s. So the sonic sound of the percussion and the drums were very similar. Same microphones, same preamps, different players. And I will add this, having a percussionist live with a live drummer is a great vibe. They really gel well off of each other, and it's a lot cooler than just putting the shaker on or the tambo after you've done a drum track. There's an interaction that goes on, and drummers and percussionists speak whatever language they speak. And when you get somebody playing percussion and drums and they get into a groove of where they're accenting and who's playing what, it really is something cool that you really can't ever program that well, not with that feeling. On the horn section, we had KSM 44 on the saxophone. We had KSM 313 ribbon microphone on the trombone. And then we had a newer mic, another ribbon, a KSM 353 on the trumpet. And that's a great mic because it handles high SPL really well, and Vinny can get really loud. So it's a good thing to have.
I just want to talk about the chord change in the fourth bar of the first chorus. Are we doing that F11 there?
F11.
Yeah. F11, F9, and then the B sharp 11 on the. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
And we're doing the same thing, bar 4 of every chorus?
Yeah.
So even the last chorus?
Yeah. Yes.
Right?
That'd be
okay.
At 41 as well, right?
Yeah, and what are we doing at 57? What chords? I mean, it sounds like we're just doing a C11 there.
I did a C11.
Yeah.
C11, and I just do C11 to C7.
which is the turnaround into kind of the second verse. Okay. Yep.
Here we go.
We're very lucky to have some guest musicians on this album in addition to our core band here at Sweetwater. So alongside Nick, Dave, Phil, and Don, we had Walfredo Reyes Jr. from the band Chicago. He's a very gifted drummer and percussionist. So he came up from Cincinnati and brought all his percussion toys and played alongside Nick. Those two guys go way back to 1990 together in LA, so that was a pretty cool reunion. We had our good friend Tom Hemby playing guitar alongside Don. And we also had, very fortunate to have Michael Omardian, very gifted, award-winning producer who's played on every record ever recorded anywhere. He came up from Nashville as well and played keys alongside Phil. I think a lot of people might ask the question, well, why have two guitar players and why have two keyboard players? Because you can just overdub other guitar parts. There's a synergy thing that happens when you get different musicians in a room together and they hear a demo for the first time and then they start working on a part and they hear the other guy working on a part and they go, oh, well, if you're gonna play that, well, maybe I'll play this. Oh, wait, if you're gonna play that, well, what if you did? And once they start going back and forth, there's this play going on between the two guitars and the two keyboards and the percussion and the drums that you just can't fake in overdubs. Sure, you can record quality tracks and you can get in there and edit it and make it precise, but there's a vibe and a flavor and a feel of people in a room just working out parts like that, which back in the day, that's how they did it. You wanted two guitar parts, you bring two guitar players in and you record it that way. So, no, it's not something we do all the time, but for this record, you know, Marcus's vision was late 60s, early 70s soul music. Well, that's how those records were created, so we got a room big enough to do it, let's do it. All the studios here at Sweetwater are running Pro Tools HDX systems, so 2 HDX cards per system. And room to room, all of the Mac Pros that we're using and their chassis are clones of one another. So you can literally take the computer in Studio C, pull it out, plug it into Studio A, and fire it right up. The I/O that we're using now, that we just switched over to, is the new Avid Matrix I/O. And these boxes are certainly the Swiss Army knife of an A to D, D to A interface. I think what Avid really hit the nail on the head with is they foresaw that a lot of people are doing a whole bunch of different things. You've got AES3, you've got Dante, you've got MADI, you've got analog, all of these different formats floating about. And they said, well, let's put them all in one box and make the box versatile enough to where people can customize it. So right out of the box, you can do 64 channels in and out. And you can also use the expansion slots in it to add whatever it is you need. More important to me than anything else is the new converters they're using from Denmark sound absolutely amazing. It's the best sounding converter Avid has done to date. So between the sound of the boxes and the flexibility of them, they're not only great for how we have our studios networked together here, but they're a great fit for anybody in a home studio, a live situation that needs a box that they can customize rather quickly instead of buying a whole bunch of different components and trying to piece it all together.
People say that I'm a joker, that I ain't no good for you. You may as well just walk away, cause his heart is made of stone. He's got trouble all around him, born and raised down in the hood. From the streets of North Memphis, he's no match for the likes of you. Mama said you better find a doctor or fireman. Papa said you better find a lawyer or a preacher man. Woman, I got news for you. I may not be what they say, but I can sure not love you way more than what they say. What they say, what they say. Darling, I can love